Tax season is a pain, right? But filing your return is only half the battle. Identity theft, tax fraud is running rampant. It even led to Intuit, that's the maker of TurboTax, to temporarily suspend its state e-filings after a recent wave of fraudulent tax return filings last week. Now, the Intuit CEO is urging the IRS and the tax industry to join forces to fight the fraud. With more on this, tax director at Online Trading Academy, Michael Atias. Michael, welcome to the show. Great to have you here. So we're on this story every night, I got to tell you, because I think this is a big danger to our viewers. And just today, we got our hands on the CEO of Intuit, Brad Smith, his letter to the IRS Commissioner, John Koskinen. Pardon me for saying that wrong. He is adamant that there needs to be some kind of public-private task force to go after this thing. Good idea?
I think so. I think, this is a big problem in America today. Many Americans are facing identity theft in general, and specifically with your tax return as well. He published this letter to basically put the outcry out there that we're experiencing this issue. So I think the IRS should join forces with the industry and come up with some solutions. Part of the problem is the system that the IRS have are kind of outdated, and they're not really fit to fight this fraudulent tax returns.
So all these thieves need really is your Social Security number and your name. Don't need your address, don't need any details about how much money you're making, what your W-2 looked like. You can make all of that up, and what they do is they steal your refund. They steal your refund, and then they take tax credits, that is, in your name. Where is the IRS on this? Why aren't they out here talking about it? We've had refunds, thousands, tens of thousands of refunds stolen. The IRS is mum and quiet.
Well, it's not comfortable for the IRS to admit that they can't really fight this problem right now. The issue is the IRS can't fight it when people file returns in May and June and July. Where most of these fraudulent tax returns are being filed is early on in the season. So I always recommend that people file your returns early. This way you minimize your chance of being
But come on, Michael, you know that's not always possible. Look, the kinds of forms you need to have from, say, your broker or your financial advisor don't come till very late in the season. So the idea that we can just January 1st stroke that 1040 is, for a lot of people, just not possible.
Right. That's part of the other problem of the tax system. It's too complex and too many tax forms or whatnot. That's another topic for another day. But you're right. That is a problem. I suggest that maybe the service pushes the deadline to file the returns not to January. So the first day you can file a return may be March, maybe April. This will give them enough time to build the technological solutions or to get those reports from the financial institutions. They don't get those reports until, some IRS agents told me until May or June. So that's why they have a hard problem fighting these tax returns.
My heart is not bleeding for the IRS. They have a huge, they complain about not having any money, but they have a huge budget. And get this, last year they paid these identity thieves out of taxpayer money, $5.2 billion. To me, that's another fraud. If you can't do your job, get out of the way. That's what I say. Do you agree?
I agree with you. It's a great business for the perpetrators, for the criminals.
Yes.
$5.2 billion. There's not a lot of companies to generate $5.2 billion in proceeds, or not alone, but this is pure profit, right? So it's a great business for the predators, not so much for us.
I have to tell you, I was impressed with Brad Smith's letter. They have been in the spotlight because of their company was used sort of as a front for these criminals to file some of these for tax refunds. But he's out there, he's really banging the table saying, look, we'll work with you. Look, we'll give you resources. If you need manpower, we will help. But so far, as far as I know, there's really no response from the IRS. What else should the IRS be doing?
The IRS apparently wants to solve the issue by themselves, or they simply don't care, because if the industry is willing to offer its time and its money, when Brad is offering his people or his expertise, that costs him money. Clearly he has an interest of making sure nobody uses his company and his software to file fraudulent returns. But at the same time, the IRS should be accepting and welcoming our initiatives to help them if they can't figure out on their own.
Which appears to be the case. Michael, thanks for coming on. Appreciate your time.
My pleasure. Thank you, Gerri.